Hello and welcome back, noobs and noob slayers. Welcome to our complete guide and analysis of all Tyranid enemies in Space Marine 2. This guide is meant to help you when dropping into action, giving you advantage against the Tyranid swarm. First up on the list is the Hormagaunts. Hormagaunts can easily bog down a Space Marine with a tide of bodies, sinking their claws into the weak points of his armor and butchering him. Tactics of this beast is Hormagaunts engage in large swarms that seek to surround you. Their unrelenting attacks will strip your armor away and open you up to more serious foes. They can be easily staggered by heavy melee attacks. Next up on the list, Termagants will lurk around on the edge of the battle and behind larger foes, peppering you.
Two warriors.
Typically a shot or two will kill them. Next up on the list is the warrior bioforms. First off, with twin bone swords. These guys are the melee guys. They'll absolutely charge you, making them extremely stronger with their physically conductive swords. So it is definitely not advised to take these guys or 2-on-1. Next up on the list, we have Bone Sword and Lash Whip. Their whips have a highlighted attack where you can actually counter them if you get close enough. Next on the list is Warrior Bioforms with Barbed Strangler. So these guys fire seed pods that burst in a hideous tangle of withering creepers tipped with venomous thorns. You're going to start just dying of poison. Next up on the list is the Warrior Bioforms with Devourer. This one is basically the assault rifle where they're just going to spray at you and you are probably going to want to neutralize these guys. Finally on the Warrior Bioforms we have with Venom Cannon. This one is the Lee Harvey Oswald of the group where they're going to Chris Kyle and JFK you instantly. But they do take a long time to charge up, which is their downside. You're able to see this, you can actually save yourself. But if you're in mid-fight with other Tyranid warriors, it's going to be very, very challenging for you. Next up on the list, we have the Thonthrope. I'm pretty sure I just butchered that, and I know you guys in the comments are going to freak out on me, but this one is basically a psychic Tyranid monster. It was apparently a psyker, and not only that, they have multiple abilities, making them very, very challenging. They have two ranged attacks, both telegraphed with red auras in which you need to dodge. One is a high damage beam and the other is a series of 3 slow explosive pulses. If they have a pair, they will protect one another with psychic shields, which is really, really annoying, so you kind of have to constantly switch between the two of which one you're going to do damage to. Next up on the list is the Hive Tyrant. These guys, I'm going to be honest with you, not that much of a challenge. The Carnifex I feel like is way harder than to deal with the Hive Tyrant. That might be an unpopular opinion as it's the two-phase fight, but I find these guys way easier to handle. Next up on the list is the Neurothrope. These guys are essentially the colossal alpha of the Zoanthrope. I'm sorry I didn't butcher that. You guys can just butcher me in the comments, but it is basically the boss. So you're going to see this in probably an operation where it is the boss, and it's going to be basically doing the same amount of things. Next up on the list is we have Ripper Swarms. Ripper Swarms are hordes of tiny voracious flesh-eating monsters. They're technically part of the Tyranid's digestive system, devouring biomatter on an infested world and returning to the Hive fleet. So essentially these guys are just little rats that just eat everything. To be honest with you, they're not really that much of a threat in most of the missions. You're not really probably going to see them in operations too much, but in the campaign you will. I will say you're going to need a flamethrower for it. Next up on the list is Raveners. Variant of the Tyranid warrior species that has a serpentine tail instead of legs. Ravagers are capable of rapidly burrowing underground, and these guys are absolutely petrifying as well. I would suggest once you see them, try to link up with your battle brothers, especially in the later difficulties, because these things are going to be petrifying fighting alone, and that is something that we cannot afford in the Imperium, man. You have your brothers for a reason. Next up on the list, we have Spore Mines. Spore Mines are floating bags of explosive gas. I want to be honest with you, they're probably the easiest in the game as long as they're alone or if you get to jump on them. But if you're in a huge fight, you are going to start seeing these red circles appear, and then if you don't dodge them, you're going to blow up. Next up on the list is the Lictor. Lictors are stealth vanguard organisms, often infiltrating planets in advance of the main Hive fleet. These powerful biological camouflage to disguise themselves allow them to assassinate enemy leaders. These guys are absolutely petrifying. Next up on the list is we have Gargoyles. Flocks of winged gargoyles soar through the skies of any world the Tyranids invade. Kind of an event-based thing where they don't do damage to you, but it is something that you're going to have to look out for and clear objectives of. Next up on the list, the Carnifex. The Carnifex is a massive living wrecking ball, an elite shock organism capable of ripping apart tanks and sundering defense bastions. These guys are literally insane. Like, being a melee bulwark, I don't think you understand. I'm just trying to slice away and keep his distraction from my battle brothers, and I honestly am just dodging the entire time. They are petrifying, especially in the later tiers when you see them more often. It is horrible.
I hope this was very helpful, as we're going to be doing a Chaos one in the next couple of days. Not only that, make sure you stay tuned for class guides and various other Space Marine 2 tips. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, as it helps out a lot. Until next time.